All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is something I rarely do. I I don't like the way I look and sound on video, so rarely do I make an appearance. But I wanted to talk about something that happened over the weekend that was pretty uplifting and inspiring. And if you get the chance, I think you ought to look into it yourself. I had the opportunity to go to Marcus Luttrell's Patriot tour in Boston, which is something amazing because nobody comes to Boston that's usually of that caliber, at least for venue anyways, because, we are in the progressive state of Massachusetts, or as I like to call it, Mascanistan. So, my conservative and libertarian heroes generally don't come here, save for a few, and when they do, usually I've been too busy to find out that they've been here, so I miss it completely. But anyways, so I went to the tour, and I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I mean, I know people by reputation, and I've read Marcus Luttrell's book, and I have Taya Cow's book. I haven't read it completely yet, but I've read American Sniper, and I've seen Pete Scobell and Marcus Luttrell on After Action on the Blaze. So I kind of expected some, rah, go America kind of stuff. And we, for the most part, got that. But the message that I received out of it was much different and pretty impressive. It was at the Wilbur Theater in Boston on Saturday. So I arrive, and there's this huge American flag in the back as a backdrop, which was great. I actually have one similar in size. It was enormous. But anyways, the first person that went on was Chad Fleming. And Chad Fleming, I wasn't really familiar with him, but I'm sure a lot of SF people and people in the know who he is. He's a Army captain. I'm not sure if he's retired or still active in the military, but anyways, he's a captain. And he's an amputee. He had his left leg amputated after a firefight in Iraq. He was ambushed, and his Humvee was under an overpass, and they were dropping grenades and AK-47 fire, and one of the frag grenades, dropped about 3 or 4 feet outside of his door of his Humvee. So he had shrapnel, head to toe, and subsequently, got in this huge firefight, shot multiple times, and he lived. He survived. He went home. He had 20-something surgeries trying to correct his leg, and they didn't know if he would ever, regain full use of his leg. So after the 20-something surgeries, he kind of compiled a list of, well, if I have my leg amputated, can I do this? If I don't have it, can I do this? And it was a decision he made on his own. He said, take it off. And subsequently, he recovered much better. He has full mobility. He walked around the stage just fine. You'd never know, if he had pants on, that he was an amputee. And he's one of 5 people that was ever allowed by the military to go back into action. He was redeployed with his unit, and he went back over there. And he was shot again. And he came home, and he went back again. So there was 5 tours that this man went on after losing his legs and been shot up multiple times. He didn't quit, ever. Never. Very inspiring. Taya Kyle came on after him, and her story, I mean, everybody knows who she is. She's certainly been in the news plenty of times, between the ginormous scumbag Jesse Ventura and, Chris Kyle having been shot. Everybody knows who Chris Kyle is. He's a legend. But her story was one of faith. It was more about faith and how while Chris was overseas, she always had faith he'd come home. And faith got her through, and it was huge. And then he, of course, got shot, and she never lost faith. I mean, she had lots of people come in, and they helped her. Community helped her, and they got together and praised God. And her faith in God helped her get through. So even when people are going through the worst of times, and it was the worst time of her life, she said, her faith helped her get through, and she never gave up. She did not quit. She was so inspiring. I can't wait to read her book. After Taya Kyle was Pete Scobell, and I wish Pete Scobell, who was a former Navy SEAL, I wish he actually had spoken. He really didn't do much speaking. I mean, he spoke from the heart because he sang some songs. He's a singer-songwriter now. He has his own band. It's pretty good. His songs were pretty good, and you could tell by the lyrics that they took you to a place that he had been, and it was good for him to vent that way. But again, I wish he had been able to kind of relate to stories, but I guess some people tell their stories differently. I like to write my stories, which is why generally I don't do this whole video thing. But again, very inspiring. And after him was a man named Dave Goggins. I had never heard of Dave Goggins before, and I'm surprised.